Canada, land of maple syrup, pine trees, moose, mountains and ice skating. And this is not all there is to find in the wonderful country that is Canada, because Canada also houses Calgary. Originally just a small settlement in Canada, Calgary blossomed after the Canadian Pacific Railway reached it in 1883. Now, Calgary is the third largest municipality in Canada with over 1 million inhabitants. Like a lot of cities in Canada, Calgary is very car dependent due to the large distances between activities and a, to European standards, underdeveloped public transport system. The city houses major infrastructure connections such as the Trans-Canadian Highway and the before-mentioned Canadian Pacific Railway. These large pieces of infrastructure work as barriers to several modes of transportation, such as bicycles and buses, adding to the car dependency of Calgary. Calgary is made up out of a central business district, or CBD, and suburbs of various shapes and sizes based around this economic centre. This is also where the problems of Calgary's suburbs become apparent, because the city is so monocentric and the CBD employs so many of the men and women of Calgary who live in the suburbs. The distances from home to people's jobs have become problematic. It's not just Calgary as a whole that's monocentric though. The suburbs follow the example of Calgary as a whole, keeping all activities, stores, and other facilities in one place, rather than spreading them equally in the suburb. These distances are also a barrier for modes of transportation other than the car. Consequently, car use around these facilities has become extremely high. Cycling and walking are completely outbranded by cars in the suburbs and have been for some time. Because of this, investments in bicycle and pedestrian infrastructure has been minimal, causing the effect to strengthen in a vicious cycle. To summarize, people work at the CBD, have to travel relatively long for their groceries and other supplies, and in their own suburb, car use is so high that cycling and walking aren't even considered. So what do people do in their suburbs? Sleep? There's a definite lack of facilities and activities in the suburbs of Calgary. Fun things for people to do within walking and cycling distance. We're about to change that.
Well, I felt fine with you there, to be aligned with you there. I follow the lines through your hair, and I will form to you again.
A three-stage plan, or three-stage rocket, was envisioned to help Calgary's suburbs become the modern, livable, and multimodal residential areas they are desired to become. The three proposed stages are, simply put, 1. Activities, 2. Facilitation, 3. Connection. The first stage of the vision is for Calgary to build upon the foundation of community and identity so clearly present in Calgary's suburbs and strengthen it at the same time. Calgary will have to expand on existing activities, events, and enterprises already present in the suburbs and add new ones by simulating individual entrepreneurs and associations. What would these activities, events, and enterprises be, you ask? Well, this could vary from a fundraiser organized by a church organization, a student-organized event as part of a school project, community grocery stores, a community barber, or a community newspaper store. Getting people within the suburb involved and excited about these events will cause them to feel more connected to their suburb, and eventually the events, activities, and enterprises will not need to be stimulated by government anymore, but driven by the community itself. For the second stage, Calgary will have to facilitate these events, activities, and new enterprises in various locations around the suburbs. Because the activities will not be centered in one place, but will instead be spread out, the distance from one's house to the nearest event, activity, or enterprise will be lessened considerably. The focus of the vision isn't just on temporary and one-off events, which means Calgary will have to facilitate permanent and recurring events or enterprises as well as one-off and temporary events. There are a lot of innovative concepts on temporary and semi-permanent facilities. By adopting these concepts, normally ordinary streets, parks, and even parking lots can be transformed into extraordinary places of community. These placemaking concepts are at the heart of the second stage of the three-step plan, because not only do they facilitate the before-mentioned events, enterprises, and facilities, but they also enhance the livability of an area. The effect of a special container facility on a public space can be enormous. For permanent activities like a community barber, local grocery store, or a graphic design agency, housing will be similar to the other activities at first. They might start their enterprise in one of the container buildings, and if the concept proves viable, they could move to a more permanent facility. The Netherlands has a concept of collective business facilities. This means that several small, often locally founded companies are housed in one building. This is less expensive than having one building per business, and it also makes a shared facility a destination to more people, adding to the feeling of community and place. These shared business facilities would ideally be located near TOD stations to increase accessibility from other suburbs and to stimulate multimodal or chain transportation. If entrepreneurs want to start their own office right away, this could be facilitated by Calgary. The plan is to communicate the idea to the suburbs that if Calgary sees a reasonable chance of a business concept succeeding, they could offer people property at a reduced price. This will stimulate more entrepreneurs to think more thoroughly about that dream they always had to own their own business, and also give them the chance to do so. The third stage of our three-stage rocket is a connection between the events, activities, and enterprises set up in the first two stages. The new activity centers around the suburbs and their placemaking qualities will attract people and therefore mobility. The distances between one's house and the nearest activity is expected to become significantly smaller than it is right now. This is a big chance for modes of transportation other than the car. Bicycle lanes like London's supercycle highways, broad pavement, and placemaking will pull it all together and stimulate people to cycle and walk more often. Bicycle and pedestrian infrastructure around current activity centers such as schools and malls will also be improved upon. All larger activity centers will be connected by public transportation, providing car users with yet another alternative. For schools specifically, a walking school bus concept will be introduced. This will familiarize children to walking and also make the area around the school safer for cyclists and pedestrians, as car use will decrease if people do not have to drop their child off at school. In suburbs with TOD stations, cycle hire could be introduced to stimulate cycling. Cycle hire is a concept successfully used in different cities around the world. London's current mayor, Boris Johnson, is a big advocate of cycling, and his cycle hire program is a big success. People pick up their bicycle from a cycle hire docking station and start their journey from there. When they finish their journey, they can choose to put their bicycle in any cycle hire docking station they want. This means that people do not have to go back exactly the way they came, and this provides flexibility to the concept.
Well, I felt fine with you there, to be aligned with you there. I follow the lines through your hair, and I will form to you again.
In order to make this three-stage rocket a success, almost all residents will need to participate. A tool to achieve this high level of participation is marketing, specifically umbrella marketing. The umbrella would combine different marketed projects within Calgary's suburbs. One of these projects is a community contest. A contest to determine which suburb has made the most progress toward becoming more livable, organizing more activities, becoming less car-oriented, or achieving a greater spread of activities within their suburb instead of the traditional monocentricity. At first, the bar to receive this award won't be very high to stimulate communities to try and win it, but requirements will become more and more demanding in future competitions. By letting communities compete with one another, using the pride that they feel for their suburb, involvement and support for Calgary's plans will increase. This means that Calgary would gradually lessen their influence and stimulation of the associations and entrepreneurs. Because of this, improvement of the suburbs will become a completely community-driven project.
Well, I felt fine with you there, to be aligned with you there. I follow the lines through your hair, and I